Welcome back to the Radical Rebrand podcast, where I chat about all things creative, branding, website design, and business. I am your host, Megan Gersch, and today we're going to be talking about some stuff that I am experimenting with in my business. So, the first of these things is Threads. So, if you're not familiar with the platform, Threads is a social media platform that's a little bit like Twitter, but it's basically mostly text based, and they have a For You feed, they have a following feed, but this platform has been really, really great for discoverability for my business. It helps to get you out in front of brand new people every single time that you post. One of the best things about Threads is that I've kind of been treating it as my public notes app. What I mean by this is when I have a thought, I literally just, instead of putting it into my notes on my phone, I'll just put it into Threads and then hit post. And the cool part about this is that this gives you the opportunity to get feedback from others, get a conversation going. I can make content on the go. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's more of like a stream of consciousness. I also wanted to share a few things that I have found that have worked really well on the platform so far. Your hot takes and your opinion are obviously something that's always going to get a lot of engagement. So this doesn't have to be something political or anything that's really polarizing in that way. But if you have a strong opinion about something that's going on in your industry or something that you find unethical, these are all things that can really help to get the conversation going on the platform, and people will start chiming in with their opinions and their experiences. And I just think it's really cool to kind of get different perspectives in the mix around these types of topics. Another thing that works really well is showing your work in 1 to 4 photos or so, but not adding promotional text within the caption. Instead, I would recommend simply adding some text that describes it. Like, for example, I will post some images of my branding work, and then in the caption, I will add branding work for XYZ client. So it's more about just showing off your work and not really telling people hey, I have 3 spots open, or click the link in my bio to do XYZ. None of that works really well on Threads. And so I would avoid that for the most part. Another thing that works really well is reposting someone else's content and then adding your 2 cents to it. So on Threads, this is called a quote post. You always want to be thinking about how you can add more to the conversation, add more value to what's already being said, and not just regurgitating the post. Next, motivational threads do extremely well. I'll give you an example. One time I posted a thread that said, "Creatives, you're doing a great job." And that's literally the end of the post, and it popped off. I've also made a thread in the past that was an extremely abbreviated version of my resume. So I essentially would say 2010, and then I would say something significant that happened in that year, 2012, and then so on and so on and so on, so that people can really understand my story throughout my career and different things that I've accomplished. This is also really great for sharing what it is that you do in a more natural way, because it's essentially telling the story of how you got to where you are today. I'll also say within this platform, engaging on the platform and engaging on other people's posts is so, so, so key. And what I've noticed is that when I engage more with people on the platform, my content gets shown more within the feed. The last tip that I'll give you is around adding links to your content. So if you want to add a link to something, let's say you want to link to your website or a landing page, do not put the link in the original post. What you want to do is create curiosity in the original post, and then in the reply to that post, you can add the link. But it does seem that Threads deprioritizes posts that just have the link in the regular post, and they get hidden from the feed. Okay, so I touched on a few things that I've seen that are working well. Let's also talk about a few things that don't work well on the platform. So like I mentioned a little bit earlier, sales and direct call to actions do not work well on the platform. People are really just there to treat it as kind of like water cooler type content. It's very relaxed. The people there are really engaged with other people, and they're really trying to form community and those true connections. Another thing that doesn't really work well on the platform is video, because Threads is owned by Instagram and Meta. And so so it's just funny to me how there's such a big push for video on Facebook Reels and Instagram Reels, but on Threads, it seems like video posts do not see the light of day. I've tried sharing my video directly from Reels. I've tried copying and pasting the link. I've tried uploading the video directly to Threads, and none of these methods seem to get pushed on the platform. I'll also mention that content theft is running rampant on this platform right now, and these are people that literally get roasted in the comments. So it kind of goes without saying, but obviously do not steal people's content. Another thing that I've actually been experimenting with in my business has been leaning more into Pinterest. So I noticed recently that I've actually been getting a lot more clicks to my website because of this. And so I started to lean into it a little bit more just because I'm seeing those numbers spike. And so I want to give you my exact strategy of what I'm using right now so you can copy it, do whatever you like with this information. So first of all, I have an automation that is set up on repurpose.io. And basically that automation makes it so that every time I post a TikTok video, it will automatically get repurposed over to Pinterest without the watermark. And so this kind of gives me a baseline for content on that platform without really having to do a lot of extra work. Now, I will say that because this is an automation and it happens without me manually doing a whole lot, it's not perfect. For example, if you use this exact automation, basically when you write your caption on TikTok, it's going to pull in the first however many characters into the Pinterest pin title as well as into the pin description. It's one of those things where you have to keep that in mind. And I do think about that when I'm creating my TikTok posts, that the first few characters of the description need to be really keyword rich because I know that it's going to be repurposed to other platforms. In addition to this automation, I'm also manually creating and scheduling out image pins on Pinterest. I shoot for 1 to 2 pins going out every single day, and I'm making these pins very, very specific to my work and my content. When I'm creating these pins, I'm linking them to my website specific pages that talk about that work, not just to the homepage. So that way, if people click through, they can read more about that specific project and get more information that way. The coolest part about this is that you can make 5 or 10 images for the same piece of content. So I've literally just been going through every page of my portfolio, making 5 or 10 pins about that specific piece of work, and then putting them on Pinterest. Next up in my business experiments, I have been ramping up my YouTube. So one of my long-term goals is I would love to get monetized on YouTube one day. I know that that is far, far away in my future, but I'm trying to set the foundations for that right now. So what am I doing in order to try to reach that goal? I'm essentially creating more tutorials on YouTube. I'm creating more podcast content, just like what you're listening to right now. I'm optimizing my posts as much as possible when it comes to the titles, the thumbnails, the descriptions, and really learning a lot about how to make that happen for myself. And I'm also posting YouTube shorts almost every day. For now, I'm just repurposing the TikTok content that I've created. Of course, I run those videos through CapCut first, just to make sure that I have no metadata hanging around from those other platforms. But then I upload it to YouTube, I add native text and music within the platform and get those posted. The final experiment that I'm running in my business right now is I just built out an incredible new freebie, and it's all built in ManyChat. So if you're not familiar, ManyChat is an automation software that allows you to engage with people on Instagram, both in comments and in the DMs, without you having to manually go in and message each of these people individually. So I built this freebie on ManyChat that is essentially a quiz, and I called it the Magic 8 Ball. So the idea is that when you shake the Magic 8 Ball, you'll be taken to a quiz that's entirely taken in the Instagram DMs. This quiz will help to determine your bold brand persona. Based on your persona, you also have the opportunity to input your email and get free social media templates that are based on your persona. So it's kind of like a freebie within a freebie. It's kind of cool. I haven't seen anyone else out there doing anything like this, and so I just love that this has brought an element of fun into my business. If you want to try it out for yourself and shake the Magic 8 Ball to see what persona you get, you can comment the word magic on any of my Instagram reels, and then keep an eye on your Instagram inbox to take the quiz and see which one you get. That wraps up this episode. If you enjoyed this podcast, please do hit the like button and then hit subscribe so that you never miss one. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you next week.